Please be seated. If Sunday lectionary readings followed our secular calendar, the story of Jesus, Jairus, and his daughter would have appeared 2 weeks ago on Father's Day. Every parent who has had a severely ill child identifies with Jairus. This father risked his reputation, his social standing, his career to ask for alternative medicine for his 12-year-old daughter. With absolute humility, this public figure, pillar of the community, frantically throws himself at Jesus' feet, an itinerant vagabond prophet, uncredentialed rabbi, and begs for help for his dying child, a girl, one of the most marginalized members of that society. For the synagogue CEO, seeking help from the likes of Jesus must have caused a lot of talk. With the large crowd around Jesus, we would breathlessly follow Jairus home to see what happens next. When a friend arrives announcing it is all over, Jairus' daughter is dead, Jesus ignores the news, delivering one of his shortest sermons. Do not fear, just believe. Is Jesus telling Jairus, believe there's nothing you must be afraid of? Later, inside Jairus' home, in an intimate moment with James, John, Peter, and the girl's parents, Jesus takes the young child by her hand and calls her little girl, a name of familial endearment. The moment makes such an impression on those present that this is only one of 3 times when Mark records Jesus' exact words in Aramaic. Talitha kum, little girl, arise. The young Jewish girl gets up, walks about, astonishing everyone, and Jesus instructs the parents then to give her something to eat. Medical historians hypothesize this suggests that Jairus' daughter is in some hypoglycemic or low blood sugar state, and that Jesus, the great physician, revives her from a near-death insulin-like coma. However, my image of the scene comes from contemporary art, where Jesus brings back a young maiden to life who is really dead, really dead. The healing of Jairus' only daughter is about healing when there is no hope, a miracle outside of time and space, a mystery not rationally understood. I do believe in miraculous recoveries. Every day I see Jairus' daughter healed. In 12-step groups, young people with alcohol and drug addiction, indeed dead to life, come alive. At Children's Hospital, I saw critically ill little ones survive diseases that 5 years ago, 1 year ago, would have killed them. Children like Alexandria, Justin, Sam, miraculously recover from deadly cancers, trauma, or lethal congenital heart diseases when all is lost. But what about all the beautiful children not healed by their painful illnesses? What about Laura, Tara, Christopher, and 9-month-old Hallie, who lived her whole life in the neonatal intensive care unit at Children's Hospital? After her death, Hallie's mom sent me a picture album titled, Will Hallie Go Home? Will Hallie go home? What about millions of people still trapped in addiction to alcohol and drugs, dying from their disease, raising havoc in the lives around them? Did their loved ones not pray hard enough? Did their parents not have enough faith? Barbara Brown Taylor writes, the problem with miracles is that not everyone who prays for a miracle seems to get one, and some people receive them who never asked for them. Religious people often spend time working out a formula for miracles: 2 parts prayer, 3 parts faith, 1 part good works. And we study miracle stories to find out who did what right. We imitate their actions, hoping to become irresistible to God. But God rarely does anything the same way twice. This miracle story is about a desperate father, Jairus, breaking every rule to save his daughter's life. He surrenders himself to Jesus. And when all seems lost, he hears a voice tell him, "Do not fear, only believe." Could this be the formula? If you have enough faith, things will turn out all right. It seemed to work for Jairus. His daughter is saved. The kingdom breaks through in that bedroom, and all angels sing Alleluia. But more times than we remember, we observe a different scene where parents do not experience the obvious miracle. And one of the mean things religious people say is, your child was not healed because you lacked enough faith. Sometimes well-intentioned church people get mixed up about what causes miracles. They think miracles work like the strength test at the state fairs. You know, those giant thermometers with a red bell at the top? If you're strong enough to hit the thing with a sledgehammer and ring the bell, you win the prize. In other words, people believe miracles are something we control. If our child is not recovering, it is our fault. We must try harder, pump up our faith, and ring the bell. Impress God with the power of our belief and claim our miracle. Only this is idolatry. This is one more example of our egocentric attempts to manipulate the world, thinking we are in charge of our lives, instead of owning up to the truth that every single breath we take is a free gift from God. Concentrating on the strength of our own beliefs means practicing magic. Concentrating on the strength of God, turning our lives over to the care of our loving God, and trusting the results to God is practicing faith. This is the difference between believing that our lives are in our own hands and believing that they're in God's hands. Do not fear, only believe. Frederick Buechner defines believing as a journey rather than a position, and a relationship rather than a realization. Buechner defines believing as a journey and a relationship. So this is what Jairus did and what Hallie's mother did. They went on a journey with Jesus and stayed in relationship with him. Consider what happened to Hallie's mom's prayers when Hallie died. Prayers change us in more ways than what we pray for. Miracles do occur, but they may not be what we expected. Hallie's mom practiced seeing miracles by being alert and tuning in to the daily miracles in her everyday life with Hallie. Miracles are all around us if we only have eyes to see. Consider how God opens our hearts and minds when we pray for others. We step out of our egocentric world into a universe larger than our own. At our 5 o'clock service, I sit behind my harp and experience the power of a spirit-filled synthesis of corporate and individual intercessory prayers. Men and women light candles as they offer prayers silently for themselves and others. The light from many candles soon brings brighter light to the church's darkened nave. The scene is an icon teaching us what happens when we pray. Prayers germinate from the darkened nave and are born to transform the world's darkness into light. These silent prayers, transported by candlelight, change the appearance of the church. The prayers, and indeed, they change me. Remember, Jesus also had a personal relationship with prayer, fear, faith, and miracles. Jesus prayed for a miracle on the night before he died. For you, all things are possible. He prayed to his Abba. Remove this cup from me. Only when he opens his eyes, the cup is still there. Does Jesus lack faith? I don't think so. The miracle is that he drinks the cup, believing in the power of God more than he believes in his own. This is the miracle. When we turn our life and will over to God's loving care. Similarly, Jairus turns the situation over to Jesus, follows Jesus home, and watches the holy man do his work. Perhaps the turning point in this story is not the healing, but rather after Jesus gives his sermon. Do not fear, only believe. If Jairus does that, he will survive whatever happens next. Even if Jesus had walked into his daughter's room, as Jesus did for Hallie, one stormy night, when Jesus says prayers with Hallie's mother, gently closes Hallie's eyes with his fingertips, and tenderly places Hallie in his own loving arms, and takes Hallie home. At this point, Jairus' faith, Hallie's mother's faith, is the miracle. Their willingness to believe that their daughters are still in God's loving hands, even if they have slipped out of theirs.